lot of people say, oh, this exchange was made for this or that purpose. That the main purpose is to have a functional blockchain, and then you build everything on there. But when a whale is looking to put things away, they diversify what they have. The first most solid area to put a lot of capital when everything starts crashing down around them in traditional finance or other crypto finance would be Hex. It's the most secure contract that pays interest, that has some history, and so they can trust that. So, you make logical decisions about where you put things. The next level would be Pulsechain because of its functionality and its ability to go up, matching Ethereum's value and price, and then everything else in there. So, people thinking that, oh, this is for PDI or this is for this or for that. Well, it's for everything. But whales are the ones that are going to be moving things. And that's why all that money on the Ethereum side is going to, because once anything on Pulsechain goes up, is going to pick up eHex. And so there's going to be tons of money going in eHex because all the green candles will be going there when everything else is crapping out. So that's just a simple view that I have. I'd love to hear other thoughts on that.
I definitely see what you're saying there. It's kind of like I mean, I think when it is a weird thing, right? Like, eHex is a very hard thing to get on Ethereum right now since Uniswap banned it or whatever. So people, like, I think about back at Bitcoin when it was the hardest to buy, it was the best opportunity. And right now, Hex is the hardest possible time to buy. And so I kind of believe, like, when, like, since there's two tokens on two tokens of Hex on Ethereum, Hex on Pulsechain, when Hex on Ethereum pumps, I believe that the Hex on Pulsechain could pump as well. It's just kind of like that liquidity bonding aspect, right? Like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of whales that paired eHex and pHex together because they probably like both, and they can really rack up the fees on that. And like anyone who's a Hex mega bull would do that. And so I believe that like those are liquidity bonded, and not only eHex and pHex, but pHex and PLS. So a lot of people kind of like doubt Pulse and be like, oh, it can only do 100x, it can only do a 10x. Because of the liquidity and the market cap, yada, yada, yada. But they don't realize that Hex could be the main driver of it. Like the tokens below Ethereum pump harder than Ethereum, the tokens below Pulsechain pump harder than Pulsechain. So when eHex or pHex pumps, it will very, very likely drive PLS up with it. At the same time, I'm not sure, like, it'll be a variable rate for sure, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
With lots of people dumping Hex, there's lots to buy.
For sure. I saw somebody tweet out today, I'm not sure who it was, but someone had mentioned that there was like 40,000 validators, and to be a validator, you have to lock up 32 million PLS. So do the math on that. How much PLS is actually locked up, and that will kind of like give you an idea of how hard PLS can pump. People don't realize how much is actually locked up. And so it's interesting seeing like people sell PLS for not very much money, and it actually drives down the price quite hard. It kind of shows that there's a little liquidity. So when people do start buying PLS, this thing could like rocket overnight. I'm like, PLS is my biggest bag for sure. Dude, I can't like explain how bullish I am on this whole thing. People are so bearish, but people who actually look into the blockchain and see the technicals, they'd be FOMOing in PLS right now.
No, you're definitely right. I can't wait to freaking scoop up as much as I can as soon as I get this money on PDI.
He makes a good point. So there's a lot of stuff. So we all kind of got bored, and this whole PDI narrative came out, and this started printing green candles again, and it gives us something to talk about. But and I've participated in that. I ain't gonna lie, but my main goal is to just earn more pulse. Like, that's the thing. So when I look at a chart, I'm not looking at, and I talk to whales every day. A lot of these guys were no coiner real estate guys that I've known, that I've built up in my black book over the years I did real estate. And they don't know a lot about the ecosystem. The hardest habit for me to break for them is not to look at the USD chart. Like, it's on there by default, and you do have to click an extra button to get to the actual chart you want to see. And it's the pulse chart. It's the whatever coin you're in versus pulse, because that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. Right now, we're in the accumulate pulse phase, and then maybe later, look at the USD chart, maybe, and I don't even really look at it then either, but it makes sense, I guess, if you're selling. It doesn't make sense if you're trying to accumulate, because you just want to get more of the token that you really want. So with this whole PDI thing, it's printing green candles, whatever, play with it a little bit. But your ultimate goal is to have more pulse at the end of the day. So when you leave that token pair, regardless of the USD price of it, because if pulse tanks, you're not going to be up very much on USD value, but you might be triple or in pulse terms, and that's the only thing that matters.
Very true, very true.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like I'm not even thinking about the USD dollar value right now. I'm like, if I'm making any crypto gains, I try to keep it back into crypto as much as possible, as long as I'm paying the bills and eating and stuff like that. Like right now, like my goal is to accumulate every single, like Pulsechain for most part, but every single altcoin on Pulsechain that's actually got some value to it, like PRS and stuff like that. And so like I don't know, like it's just really crazy. I believe that like there's gonna be some explosive fireworks on this chain real soon, and even though it's down so bad, there's gonna be a lot of excitement when things start picking up. I don't know, but right now my whole strategy, I'm done accumulating PLS because I've got a nice stack. Unless it goes lower, then I'm gonna keep accumulating more. But right now at these levels, I'm done. Right now my goal is to now accumulate all passive income coins on PLS. So not only do I have a nice thick stack of PLS, I have a nice thick stack of passive income coming from multiple different streams. Like for one, I'll give you 4 examples. Like one could be like a trading bot that rewards you in PLS. Another could be the wallet swaps. Like, oh yeah, Hex, obviously Hex, because like Hex is passive income. You can buy a stack, stake it for however long you want, and make ladders. And you could use that extra income to buy more PLS or whatever coin you want. Like let's say you don't want to risk your overall PLS bag to buy these alts, just make passive income and use that passive income to buy the coins that don't make passive income. And then there, you're not putting any of your principal at risk at all.
Exactly, dude. Well said, Zuka. Well said.
Or the other side of it is you got your onboards coming in, and the price of Hex and Pulsechain and Pulsex is so far down, they're just burned out, and they don't have, they don't have 4 or 5 or 6, cycles to go through to understand everything. And no matter how intelligent they are, and even if they had experience in different cycles before, they're just pissed off.
Yeah, man. I guess, it's not. That's another good point. It's not for everybody. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I got 3 people in at the Pulsechain launch. Things looked good for the first few weeks. As you know, we went up like 3 or 4x, and then it was just off a cliff after that.
Yeah, but pretty much you just look at Ethereum's chain, and, we should have just realized that was exactly what was going to happen.
Right. There wasn't enough talk about that. I know a couple people did, but like it seemed like the herd mentality was like not even considering Pulsechain. That didn't seem like the herd mentality. Some people were saying that, but I should have waited.
What does that tell you?
I should have waited to let some people know about it.
Well, you're actually talking about like how it affected the people close to you.
Yeah, well, they're cool. Like they don't hold anything against me. It's just they've lost interest in I've tried to explain crypto, like bull markets around the corner and explain the halving and all that and cycles, but it's really just like they probably won't be hitting me up till the green candles actually come. But like now's the time to add more to your bags instead of that initial bag. But it's just they're like, no, I'm just gonna leave it for a few years and not add to it.
That's the mindset, though. Here's an example of mindsets and why mindset is so important. You'll often hear billionaires talk about how if they had to start over, or you'll hear people talk about billionaires if like speculating, if they had to start over, would they be able to do it again, or did they get lucky? We hear the word luck thrown around a lot with some people. And it has nothing to do with luck. It's an actual mindset. So I witnessed a group of people who didn't really have much of their life come into money, like a bunch of them all at one time. And it amazed me how fast it took them to spend all their money and have nothing to show for it. I was mind blown by that. I'm like, why? How? All this talk, they were all talking. They all had a lot of plans. They all were going to invest it, do this. Everybody had a big story. Sounded pretty good, but 90% of them were broke within months. It was crazy. But the same thing happens the other way around. If when these billionaires lose money and they go broke and they go bankrupt, and bankruptcy is actually a money glitch. People talk about how, I don't want to get political, but how one of our particular presidents, how he's filed bankruptcy so many times. He just understood the system. I mean, it's like sometimes bankruptcy is in a business, at least, not personal bankruptcy, but in a business, it's like a reset button. It seems unfair to most people, but a lot of these people that are filing bankruptcy, they don't make the rules; they just play by them. Back to my point: if they went broke, they would find a way to claw their way back to success. It's a mindset. It's a type of thinking outside the box and looking at the bigger picture, zooming out in the chart. If you're looking at the 5-minute chart, you're zoomed in way too close. If you're looking at an hour, or even the closest I'll go is a 4-hour chart. I see Sami uses 6 months. I've seen him using the other day. That's what you think about long-term thinking. That's what you're looking at. When each candle tells you a story.
Wise words, man. Thanks for that.
But I think that mindset can be changed at any point. I
Right.
once lived in the poor mindset. Like I was one of those people that when I was young, I got into real estate and had success real quick. And I was also broke really quick. And then the collapse happened and I didn't know what to do. But I found a way to get back to where I was. It's a mindset. You have to teach yourself to think differently. Sometimes it's making sacrifices.
Right. I was going to say that I think one thing I've learned with trying to onboard and only getting certain reception is that that kind of mindset and also conviction isn't necessarily always transferable from one person that has conviction to another person that's new. And I kind of thought that if I just kept explaining it over and over again in different ways and showing my conviction and my understanding, that it really only reached a few people, and most people just I don't know, just weren't into the idea of crypto or trying it, or they thought it was a scam, or that, it's too risky, and they weren't thinking the big picture and risk to reward and all that. But anyway, yeah, I think one thing I've learned over the last year is that you can't always transfer your mindset to somebody else.
No, that was all I want to say. I like how he said transfer your mindset to someone else. I never heard it expressed that way, but it makes so much sense when you say it so simply.
I was going to ask, I don't know if this was newly added to Pulsex, but under settings, under the slippage above expert mode, it has auto router, and you can slide that over the right. Is that something that I should do, is turn on the auto router?
Absolutely. And here's what I'll explain to you what it does, and then you can make the decision. Sometimes I'll turn it off because it's slower. But what it does is it bounces from the different pools. So you'll have some of your liquidity on V1, some of the liquidity is on V2, some of that liquidity like a Tropa, especially if you're doing anything with a Tropa. You got a Tropa spread out over God knows how many different pairs. And what the auto router does is it takes all those pairs and it gives you a position, and it's probably based on different ratios, and it gives you the best price without paying slippage. Similar to, in fact, the same math is applied to a lot of these other sites. Like 1inch, it's basically the same thing that 1inch does, but it's not a front end, and some of them do it better. We have it right here on Pulsex. Click a button, and it'll aggregate for the best order with paying the least amount of slippage as possible. So that's what it does. The downside is it's slow. It's got to look at all the API calls. It's got to see the prices of everything. So sometimes it'll take you a little bit. In fact, I'm messing with it right now, trying to get into a project that I like a lot. And I might just go back to the pool with the thickest liquidity and just buy it because my order's not that big.
Yeah, I'm testing it out right now. Thanks for explaining that. Yeah, I'm seeing it go around in circles for a couple seconds, and then it seems to be finding the new best order. But dude, oh my God, this is awesome. This type of experience, I don't think exists anywhere else in crypto right now, man. We got cheap gas fees. We got a brand new L1. Got some awesome ecosystem with a really good theory behind it, a pegging and a native stable coin. I mean, dude, this is just epic, man. This is epic to be a part of this.
Yeah, that's why this is the best hope for humanity.
Binance is the only one that's beaten us, but how many bots are running on Binance to beat us?
A lot.
Or they'll create, hey, here's the thing. Even if we do beat them, they'll create bots and start trading bullshit pairs. They'll create new pairs to trade.
That's fugazi. But that's fugazi, right? That's fake, numbers.
It is, but
it's
still trading. But that's the thing. You can't do it. You do it on Pulse, you're just going to burn Pulse. So, hey, bring all the fuck out of it.
I know, it's awesome.
Out of it. Burn Pulse. Pump our bags, please. Please pump our bags.
Yeah, it's a feature, not a bug.
Absolutely. Same with Pulsex. Pulsex is down like a motherfucker right now. But I tell everybody, Hex first, Pulse, because I truly believe in Hex. Hex was created to fix the problems Bitcoin has, And imagine buying Bitcoin at 2 zeros and a 7. Imagine buying Bitcoin at 2 zeros and a 7.
Amazing.
I mean, that's insane. That's insane. That's almost like retarded ass numbers. That's why I'm always Hex,
yeah.
Pulse.
we'll accumulate. Look, let's go to the bull, do the bull thing. Next bear, that's when I'll look at accumulating Pulsex.
Right.
But all these fucking plebs out
field.
there that want to say, oh, Pulsex is going to do better than Pulsechain. When has a deck
Yeah.
ever in the history of goddamn life done better than a layer one?
Never.
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 Impossible. Never going to happen. But yet, you got these in our community that run around saying, Pulsex, 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 Pulsex. And I love it. I love it because it's like, oh yeah, you didn't know. They're running around with a goddamn target on their head saying, I didn't find Richard Hart until December of 2021. Like, I didn't know nothing about.
That's
And
true,
that's the
but the
thing.
thing is,
They still shill Pulsex.
the Pulsex is good though. I mean, it's like if you think just like
It's
one third,
fine.
one third,
It's
one
fine.
third,
It's
right?
not the. It's
Yeah,
not the
so
shit
it'd be
to
like Hex.
accumulate right now.
If you do the
Like,
math,
there's two better things to accumulate right now.
Hex is number one. I would say if someone was to try to accumulate into RH ecosystem, yeah, Hex, because it proven, it does it. Doesn't matter what chain, doesn't matter where it runs, it earns. Yes, used properly, you can make whatever. Pulse is a more longer bet. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a bit longer. Pulse native coins, though, to chains are very successful in history, but it's a longer term play. And if you don't have enough Pulse to make money off your Pulse, then go into Hex, right? If you got enough Pulse to make money off your Pulse, you're like doing something like validating, well, then that's another story for you. And then you got Pulsex. Okay, Pulsex, they're the biggest deck. Pulsex, it serves a purpose. 1, 2, 3.
I like what it does.
It functions. It does have a couple little things, but like I put high value on Hex. It's got a low price. I put high value on Pulse. I put a little bit of lower value on Pulsex. But if you're earning out of Pulsex, it depends where you sacrificed from, like you said, and where, and how person, what time. Then it comes into what kind of situation we're talking.
What I like about this whole thing is it's taught me with Richard launching a L1, it's taught me to look at ratios. Look at the ratios, the trading ratios. What do I value? Fuck the price. What can I swap for this? What can I swap for that? And that's literally what I go off because I know the future, I guess you say future value, and I don't know the future price, but I know the future value of these things, And so I love using pulses like a base, I guess you could say. How many pulse for 1 PX? How many pulse for Pulsex? You're seeing the ratio slip higher, 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 and higher with Pulsex. And also with Pulse too, like compared to Hex. And I think that's important,